Well, good morning, Wellspring. Good morning, Zoom land, and all of those who will be watching this later on in our archives. Today is September 1st. Happy September. Autumn is just around the corner. And how many shopping days left till Christmas? No. 17 weeks till Christmas. But who's counting, right? My name is Vicki Avery. I'm a board member here, and I am honored to be of service today. And we, as always, start off with a few announcements. Please bear with us. We're having a little technical glitch that we may or may not have slides, but you all know this stuff. So anyhow, the first announcement is Early Birds meets Sunday mornings, 9:30 via Zoom. Link is in the weekly email or on our website. Speaker for today is Jeanne Gehringer. And for the rest of September, on the 8th is Reverend Sandy Scott. On the 15th is Dr. Edward Burlbaugh. And on the 22nd is Reverend Kamatara from Albuquerque. And on the 29th is Reverend Randy Granger. And he will also be doing music that Sunday. Thursday evening group continues to meet at 7 o'clock here in the social hall or on Zoom, and get the coordinates from Cleona or Edward. Y'all have heard that Rome was built in a day. Well, our labyrinth is going to be built one stone at a time, and we need lots and lots of stones. So it's coming along one stone at a time. And thank you for those who have already contributed rocks. We are asking that rocks be about 6 to 8 inches so that there's kind of a uniformity in the creation of the labyrinth. And once it cools down a little bit more, we will look into starting to construct the labyrinth. So rock on. And lastly, our prayer team remains ready to be of service and support you. You may submit a request via the web page, or we do at the back of the sanctuary here have slips of paper that can be filled out. And our prayer team meets virtually every Tuesday afternoon at 4:15 to pray with you. And you may consider sitting in your quiet space during that time. We know that we are one in spirit, and the energy of prayer knows no limits. And now, time for our invocation. Mother, Father, God, Great Spirit, the all that is, that flows in, through, and around each one of us. We are so grateful for this time to come together as like-minded spiritual community to celebrate life. We know that all is in divine order. For those that are not with us, we hold them in the light. Know that they are here with us in spirit. And we all say together, and so it is. Thank you. So now, if you're able, please stand for our song of joy, God in Everything. And Miss Judy Bethman will lead us in song.
This song we've sung years and years ago, so I don't know if you guys remember it, but I will help you sing it. Okay. Everywhere I look, I see God in everything, deep inside and all around me, God in everything. I can feel it in my beating heart, God in everything. It's in every breath of life I take, God in everything. Everywhere I look, I see God in everything, deep inside and all around me, God in everything. every stranger's face I see, God in everything. Brothers, sisters, family are we, God in everything. Everywhere I look I see, God in everything. Deep inside and all around me, God in everything. I can see it in my troubled times, God in everything. It's in all thoughts I have in mind, God in everything. God in everything. God in everything.
That was so purty. It has been a while since we've done that, but that is a very lovely song. Some of you may know that I'm a school bus driver. And after the heavy rains, the dry dirt turns into mud. And I happened to need to turn around in this open field, and I buried the bus axle deep in mud. And it was a good example of this song, God in Everything, because it was interesting to watch how the kids reacted. Some were freaked out, and some were thinking this was great. Hey, this has never happened. And it's like, yeah, it's never happened to me in 15 years of driving, but I can cross that off my bucket list. So God in Everything, it was a good time for some of us. Anyhow. So now if we can say together our vision, mission, and affirmation. Our vision, to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission, to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. And our affirmation, I stand in the midst. We didn't get updated. To all I meet, God's love flowing through me is felt by all around me. I bring joy to the lives of others. I know the truth of my being, and I am at peace. And I affirm that that is the correct one. So now I would like to introduce our guest musician, Mao.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. This very short piece or aria is from the Mendelssohn's Elijah, and the words of the songs, if with all your hearts ye truly seek me, ye shall ever surely find me, thus saith our God. If with all your hearts ye truly seek me, ye shall ever surely find me, thus saith our God. If with all your heart ye truly seek me, ye shall ever surely find me, thus saith our God, thus saith our God. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might even come before his presence. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might even come before his presence. come before his presence. Oh, that I knew where I might find him. If with all your hearts ye truly seek me, ye shall ever surely find me. Thus saith our God, ye shall ever surely find me. Thus saith our God.
As always, that was beautiful. Thank you. We are so blessed with such talent here. It's amazing. Well, Jeanne told me that her topic today is how we choose to age. And what I thought about that is, well, I said gracefully, and she said, and with panache. But I think how we age is how we choose to live. So that's where I went for my reading. And I'm reading from a book that Early Birds did some time ago, The Untethered Soul. And this is from the chapter called The Path of Unconditional Happiness. And remember, folks, life is not a dress rehearsal. The highest spiritual path is life itself. There's just one basic underlying decision. Do you want to be happy, or do you not want to be happy? It's really that simple. Once you make that choice, your path through life becomes totally clear. Do you want to be happy or not? If you keep it that simple, you will see that it really is under your control. The question is simple. Do you want to be happy? If the answer is really yes, then say it without qualifying it. Any conditions you create will limit your happiness. You have to give an unconditional answer. If you decide that you're going to be happy from now on for the rest of your life, you will not only be happy, you will become enlightened. Unconditional happiness is the highest technique there is. This is truly a spiritual path, and it is a direct and sure path to awakening as could possibly exist. The question is whether you want to be happy regardless of what happens. The purpose of your life is to enjoy and learn from your experiences. You were not put on this earth to suffer. Events don't determine whether or not you're going to be happy. They're just events. You determine whether or not you're going to be happy. You can be happy just to be alive. You can be happy having all these things happen to you and then be happy to die. If you can live this way, your heart will be so open and your spirit will be so free that you will soar up to the heavens. This path leads you to absolute transcendence, because any part of your being that would add a condition to your commitment to happiness has to go. If you want to be happy, you have to let go of the part that wants to create melodrama. None of us do that, right? In the end, enjoying life experiences is the only rational thing to do. Every time a part of you begins to get unhappy, let it go. As difficult as it sounds, what's the benefit of not doing it? In the end, If you stay happy, you win. And the key to staying happy is really very simple. Begin by understanding your inner energies. If you look inside, you will see that when you're happy, your heart feels open and the energy rushes up inside of you. When you aren't happy, your heart feels closed and no energy comes up inside. So, to stay happy, just don't close your heart. It's really that simple. All you really have is that choice to be happy or not be happy. Affirm that all you want is to be at peace and to appreciate life. You don't want your happiness to be conditional upon the behavior of others. You remain open by simply letting go and releasing the tendency to close. Unconditional happiness is a very high path and a very high technique because it solves everything. Once you have passed through trial by fire, you are thoroughly convinced that you will let go no matter what. Then the veils of the human mind and heart will fall away. You will stand face to face with what is beyond you because there is no longer a need for you. When you are done playing with the temporal and finite, you will open to the eternal and the infinite. Then the word happiness can't describe your state anymore. That's where words like ecstasy, bliss, liberation, nirvana, and freedom come in. Then the joy becomes overwhelming and your cup runneth over. And this is a beautiful path. Be happy. Now it's my great privilege to introduce to you the dowsing queen, an innate, powerful healer, and just an all-around amazing person, Jeanne Gehringer. It's all yours.
Thank you. So, as we've said, today's talk is about how we choose to age. For a lot of people, they think of aging as something that happens to us. I'm going to proffer today that we have choice in this matter, perhaps not about the aging, but how we choose to let it happen. I am going to start off with a couple of stories. All of us at our age have been dealing with people who are aging, who are having issues, and we've got both good, bad, and ugly stories to tell. Things we've been around that make us sit back and ponder. And I'm going to start with a couple of stories. The names have been changed to protect everybody. But they're all true stories. We all had a wonderful person among our midst, Flo, who passed on earlier this year. We all knew her. We could say she aged beautifully. No matter what happened, no matter how she lost her hearing, no matter what was going on, her face was full of a smile, and her attitude was fantastic. The last time I saw Flo, she had her iPhone out, and she was trying to teach me how to both of us use this phone that I could talk into, and then it would talk into, and then she could read it so she could understand what I was saying, because she was that profoundly deaf. And she was having the greatest time, and we were in a constant state of giggles, which of course the iPhone was picking up. So it was full of ha-has and giggles and forgetting the text. It was a real riot. but Flo was a delight to be around until the very, very end. I had a friend many, many years ago that in her daily life, her whole adult life that I knew her, was lousy with money. That woman could not manage money. And that was just something that was about her. She took care of others. Anybody that was needy or needed something, needed groceries, needed to be done, she'd go buy them groceries, do this, do that, and take care of them. And then come back to her friends and say, could you pay my electric bill? I don't have electricity. Or could you pay my water bill? Or my roof is falling in. I don't have the money to fix it. In 1 year, I saw her sell a valuable piece of property and an exclusive enclave on the beach in California, making more money than I've made in my whole life. And that money was gone within a year. She had issues with how to handle finances. I was very concerned about her aging with this lack of an important skill set. She had no family. Both her children had predeceased her, and there was no one in the picture. So this important life skill of finances impacted how she aged and what she could put in with her and what resources she could bring to aging. This next story I've gone over and over because it's incredibly difficult for me. I have a friend still with us who got more and more crippled with a degenerative disease. She also has no family, no children, no husband, no relatives, and lives in another city and an expensive part of town. It is very important for her to live in an expensive part of town, and she will do without in every way in order to have that address. That is part of who she feels she is. So as this disease progressed, she became increasingly housebound, and it was on an upper condo where there were outside stairs you had to get to it, and she became unable to do the stairs at all. And upon a visit to check in on her, I found that she had been unable to get mail, unable to dump the trash, unable to do almost anything. She was convinced that her physical condition was temporary. It would relieve itself, and it would all be okay. But meanwhile, we can't dump the trash. We can't get the mail. We were able to get groceries delivered to the door from the good times of COVID where all that became available. That helped someone like her. None of her friends in that town were able to use those stairs anymore. No one could visit. She was hoping I could continue to drive from Las Cruces. As well as I could put them words in her ear about moving, about getting a ground floor condo, went nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Her money was in the house. She owned it outright. That's good. And she was on a very, very small Social Security. One of the smallest I've ever seen. That's it. So she's aging and refusing help. I have another friend who actually was a friend of Flo's and mine in art circles, named June. Most of you wouldn't know her. She lived here in town and was totally active in everything. She is still with us. 90, she's like 20 years older than me. She's 97 now. Still doing well. She chose an assisted living community near her kids back in the very cold, wet Northeast. But she made a choice when to leave town. She made a choice what to do with her things. She made a choice when to go. And she is very happy there, and she is doing great. My dad, as you know, you've heard many of my dad's stories, and they're never going to end because there are a lot of them, as I took care of him for 15 years. In his tiered living community, and this was something he did really well, he set himself up in this. It was a Good Samaritan community down in Florida that 400 acres. It went from everything from there's a golf course to a gated 55, totally active, to assisted living, to all kinds of health, to every kind of dwelling you can imagine and every kind of activity. And you could go anywhere there on campus, to all the restaurants, all the things to do. It was a great, he chose well on setting himself up that this is where he could age, and he did. When I went to visit and talked to the people there and got to know everyone, because he was there almost 10 years, and so I became a part of that community as well with all of my visits. Many of the ladies I talked to, the older ladies, chose before they had to find a place where they could age. Important concept. In my Iceland trip last year, it was overseas adventure travel trip, there was a gentleman who was in his early 80s who had neuropathy of the feet and was off balance a lot. He was about the size of Barry or even taller, he's about 6'3", and he was way more ample than Barry. And he fell a lot. Terrified us. We're in Iceland. We're talking icy walks, wet walks, muddy walks. He never did break a bone or anything, but he absolutely was in denial of what his abilities were to handle the terrain. Oh, let's go up to the top of the world's biggest waterfall. When we got done with our last day, our tour leader sat down, we were having a drink together, and she said, "Why didn't you go up to that place where everyone was having a picture taken at the top with an opening, kind of like Window Rock, where you take your big picture?" I said, "I eventually did." I said, "But I was behind him, and if that guy was going down the hill, I knew I was gone, and I'm not ready to go yet. And I'm not ready to get shipped out of here on a stretcher. And yeah, I'm just not, because he was dangerous." But we sighed relief that nothing bad had really happened. So those are the examples you all are living through too, of some people doing well, some people not having different kinds of resources. And what I'm talking about today is not financial resources exactly. You can go to all kinds of publications on how to set up for older life. I'm talking about spiritual, metaphysical, maybe psychological and emotional. So how do we choose to age? Is it something that happens to us and we have no control over and we're just stuck with it? Or is it something we choose how to handle? Now think of our self-identity. We're very tied to our self-identity, how we look, how we dress, what we do, what we can do. The musicians in the room, what we can do with music, that's self-identity. what our interests are, our activities are, our abilities. It's all self-identity. Remember when you were an early teen or an adolescence and you were just coming out of childhood, getting into those wonderful puberty years, and you're staring at yourself in the mirror going, what am I going to look like? Do I fit in? How do I look? How do I go along with the others? Remember those years where you were looking at the mirror, really figuring out, what am I going to be? That's all that self-identity as we're getting to know ourselves. But all of us are of a certain age, and except for maybe a couple of the younger people, when we were children that age, would have never, because our backgrounds weren't there, looked at ourselves in the mirror and saw a soul or a spiritual self. We weren't trained to look at ourselves that way. It was all appearance, or what you were going to do, or what you were going to be. And now that we're aging, we're looking in that mirror again and going, who are you? And who let you in the back door? We're looking at it again going, who is this person? What is this person? We're doing it again. And we're looking at our whole self-identity there. How we look. And most of us are going, oh my God. What we can do, what we can't do anymore. The gentleman on the trip. He had a travel companion, an old friend of his, who was just beset. She couldn't get him to understand that you're 83, you shouldn't be doing that anymore, and I am not going to be stuck with getting your butt back to Maine. What we can do, hard giving that up. What are our abilities? How they change. How much is that attached to our identity? And is our identity serving us or not? I'll do two examples here. An artist, Matisse, great artist, a couple hundred years ago. And as age, eyesight, and some kind of a degenerative condition overtook him, he couldn't paint anymore, and he couldn't stand anymore. But he'd lay in his bed. What he could do was cut with scissors. So he'd lay in his bed with colored paper over him, cutting designs and doing things that way. So the artist soul was a good identity. It was part of his soul identity, and it was going to find a way to express. Now, let's go back to one of my examples at my friend. One reason she would not leave her condo was because it was so important to her that it be high-end, high class, and she did not want to go to a ground floor unit because the ceilings weren't high enough. Yeah, wow. And high ceilings meant a classier abode. There's an example where our identity is not serving us. And I'd go back to a psychological term and call it, is this a false, what we call false self, not the true soul self. But now as we're aging, and we're looking at that mirror going, oh, wow, are we changing? Because we're at Wellspring, we're able not to just see the physical person in front of us, but we're able to see the soul. We are here in this community because we believe in a soul, because we believe we have it. And it is ageless. It is timeless. So here is a gift we have by being open to the kind of thinking that we embrace here. That is such an asset as we age. So how do we address the physical changes? We can fight it, we can deny it, we can fight it like refusing to wear hearing aids. and wondering why everyone is shouting at you. Deny it. For all the good things my dad did, he was in denial that his physical capabilities had changed. He insisted to have guns in his assisted living apartment because he felt he needed to protect himself, and he felt he still had. He was a marksman, and he was proud to be a marksman. It was his identity. He did target shooting and won all kinds of awards for years and years and years, and even won the Senior Olympics here in Las Cruces before he moved to Florida. So being a marksman was important. That was his identity. And he felt he could still shoot like he shot before his ears went, his eyes went, before he was shaken like a leaf. I was terrified he'd kill me. I was. That he'd mistake me or my noises for someone else. So denying that your capabilities have changed. How do you address your body as you're aging? Are you treating her kindly, him or her kindly, saying, thank you for working today. Thank you for doing this. Or are you going, you damned hip, why can't you work any better? How are we addressing ourselves? Of course, we have the mental changes. Those are hard and scary, especially when we see them in people around us. We have a big fear factor here in aging. And of course, loss of independence. Our culture, our country makes car driving imperative. We're not in cities where you can get around without it. So when the keys go away and the car goes away, that is major. No denying all of that. We also have the culture we're around. I have a couple of younger people in here. But I remember the first time that I was aware I was being treated as irrelevant or not important because I was older. That is really hard. Very, very difficult. So let's look at the lens we look through this. The lens we look through aging. Do we regret that we didn't treat our body better and now we're in this predicament? Do we dread? Do we fear? Deny? Anger? All those are appropriate feelings, and we need to address them. How do we deal with these feelings now? What I see very true for everyone I'm dealing with and know is the parts of us that need addressing, what Reverend Edward talked about last time, the dark side of us, the shadow side. If those aren't addressed, they come up hard in later life. Very hard. So it's really important. We see some young people here to address those as we're young, so that we get that work done as we get older. The lens through which we look at aging, are we going to see family and medical personnel as taking over our life, as controlling us? Or are we going to see that age is doing that? How many people do you know lash out at family and medical personnel when that's really not the issue? So in our lens, to embrace it, bring it into wholeness, and the parts of you into wholeness that are contrary to the process and dealing with them. As a spiritual practice, this is an opportunity to view things differently. An opportunity, I see, for spiritual growth. To be proactive. What she brought in as our reading was perfect. Yes, a big point I wrote down was, we choose to age as we choose to live. And she came up with it. Vicki came up with the reading. Yeah, right on. What are you doing well now? We're all doing a lot really well now. What are you doing well now? Congratulate you. Make yourself a list. What are you doing well? On how you are taking care of yourself well. Now, focus on what you're not doing so well. Are you a procrastinator? Some people are. How's that going to bite you in the rear end as you get older? I've got a friend who was such a bad procrastinator when he was in a working world that his boss came to the house. His wife told me they had a 2-hour heated argument that his inability to get work in on time was affecting the whole team. And it was not only threatening his livelihood, but the whole project. And he still insisted he would do it his way on his time. So you can guess that this man also had his heels in the sand on going for any medical help, getting tests, finding out what's going on. He is now dying inch by inch, and just inch by inch going down, with caregivers coming in and out of the house all the time. Here's something we do not do so well, a lot of us at my age: technology. For a lot of us, technology is very, very difficult. Very difficult. It's hard for us now. Yes. It's going to get worse. Maybe. This would be an example of what to embrace and get good with while we can. Went to lunch with a girlfriend who turned 80. And we're having a nice conversation. She was upset about a bad case of years-long psoriasis. And I said how I'd had great luck with Mayo Clinic. They'd solved my problem. Gave her the information. And she said she really couldn't drive that long to get there. I said, well, what I did mostly, because I started with them during COVID times, it was all online. I sent them pictures. They tell you how to take pictures, put them on your phone, put them on the computer, everything done. They cured me basically online. The pictures did all they needed to. Great doctor. She tuned off. No, she said she will not use a phone. She will not learn the app. She will not use the cell phone that way. So here is a solution. Even if she wants to order something, she has someone else order it for her. Okay, so the things that drive us nuts as we get older, if we look at them and know that they are going to be essential for us to age better, then we need to get real about it. I'm sorry, I'm sounding like I'm preaching, but hey, it's Sunday, it's a pulpit. But and the lady I talked about earlier about being in her condo, she was basically in the condo for 2 years, housebound, also was very against technology. I offered to bring her an old iPhone. I offered to pay for Wi-Fi. No. No. Our spiritual practice is our strength. That's something we all do well. And the more we do it, and the more it's a practice and a habit, the more it's a firm foundation to put under us as we age. It is essential. We in this community believe that the soul is immortal and that it's hitching a ride on the physical plane through our physical body, and seeing ourselves in our mirror of our soul is perhaps the best way to take a look at us. I wrote a letter to a friend who turned 80 and talked about choosing to be called elderly or being an elder sage. I wish to be an elder sage or sage elder, either one. You can call me either one of those. Don't call me elderly. Elder sage, yeah, I can go to being an elder sage. That's a choice, isn't it, of how we look at this whole process. Now, my mom, who lived just a year after, she would have been a year older than me now when she died. She had a real problem with aging. She was having physical issues and was just having a real problem with the whole process. So I gave her this gift, and no, you may not have this rock. This little rock that says, "Age is a work of art," to remind her that what all we become is, in fact, a work of art. And as we end this today, I'm going to pass out, or let Vicki, we'll pass and we'll put them out here to pass out. So if you need a little reminder as a bookmarker or in your wallet or on your mirror or on your refrigerator that you are a work of art, especially as we age. And I thank you all very, very much. And now I want to put us into a little meditation where we brought up some difficult things here today. Let's let it bubble up to your surface. The parts of you that you feel need to be included or made better so that you can age better. Let them come to the surface. And let them be surrounded by divine white light and a lot of help from the spiritual realms to help you deal with whatever these issues are or these skill sets you need to improve. And we embrace them, we bring them in, we picture them, we release, remove, or let go what does not serve us. We ask for transmutation or changing of what spirit needs to be changed within us. And to me, that even includes DNA. And we ask for integration and receiving of what energies and knowledge and wisdom that Spirit has to bring to us. And so it is. Thank you all.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise every morning. Praise for them springing fresh from the world. Surge la aurora en la primera, canta la urraca ave inicial. Lora al canto, lora all'alba, y a su principio trascendental. Luces la lluvia iluminada, como el rocío crepuscular. Lora al bello huerto mojado, donde delieta el divino andar. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden so play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Praise for the singing, praise every morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world. God's recreation of a new day.
Thank you. Voice of an angel. Jean, when you mentioned your father was involved with Senior Olympics, I'm also involved in the Senior Olympics, and it's one of the youngest group of elder sages that I've ever been around. But there's a sign in the Senior Olympics office that says, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." So now it's time for our offering, and Sharon will be coming forward with the basket, and we acknowledge and receive these virtual and in-person gifts. We know that giving and receiving is all part of one flow, and we are part of that flow. And we give great thanks for these gifts because we do put them back out into the community. It is an energy, and we are grateful to be part of that energy of giving and receiving, and so it is. Thank you, Sharon. And speaking of thanking, there's a few folks that we want to specifically give a shout out and thank yous for helping put on this Sunday service. We have our techie back there who is pushing the buttons and getting the slides up. And we have our cameraman, Edwin. So Brenda, thank you for being there. And Sharon, thank you. And thank you to the musicians, Barry and Mao. And thank you, Miss Jean, for being here and sharing your wisdom with us. And thank you all here in the sanctuary for bringing your love and light here. And thank you all for out in Zoom land for joining us. And if you'd like to stick around, we'll unmute you when we're done here. So you can visit if you'd like. Otherwise, we have, as I hear, pumpkin pie and real cream. And zucchini bread made with love. So if you're able, please stand and join with me in the benediction, and then we'll sing our congregational song. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world, and so it is.